Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews. I'm your host, Matt Spease, and today we're doing another ranking video. This time, we are ranking the Hammer Dracula films from worst to best. So, there is no top 10 this time. We're just ranking all 9 films, starting with the worst and working our way up to the best. So if you like this idea of me doing these kind of ranking videos instead of just the traditional top 10, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll keep doing them. And if you like this kind of video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, starting at number 9, we have Brides of Dracula from 1960. Brides of Dracula is the way you do not do a follow-up to a great start for your film series. The last thing you want to do is, yes, you're going to bring back Peter Cushing as Van Helsing. That's cool. But then you don't bring back Christopher Lee as Dracula. And instead, you put a character called the Baron, who is played by, he's not played by a bad actor. David Peel is a good actor. But he's not Dracula. He's not playing Dracula. And the Baron is a very weak character because he is like a mama's boy who is doing everything that his mother, the Countess, is telling him to do. It's just, it's a shame because, I mean, it's directed by Terence Fisher, who directed the first film, Horror of Dracula, for the company, and he puts the same atmospheric style, and it still has the same really cool cinematography that we expect from a Hammer Dracula film. But the Baron is a very weak villain, a very weak replacement for Dracula. And that's why it's at the bottom of the list. Now, coming in at number 8, we have The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires from 1974. This film makes the list above Brides of Dracula because it does have Dracula in it. He's played by John Forbes Robertson, but apparently John Forbes Robertson did not have the voice to be able to pull off this character and make him, I mean, he could physically look good in the role, apparently, but he did not have the voice for it. So they ended up casting voice actor David DeKaiser to do the dubbing to make him sound very Christopher Lee-ish. I can see why Christopher Lee turned this film down. Peter Cushing is back again, but this time, all of a sudden, his daughter, who has been established in the previous films, Jessica, is nowhere to be seen, and he suddenly has a son. Why? And his son has a girlfriend who looks more like what Jessica was supposed to be. And the way they turn the vampires in this, I mean, it's so idiotic and unrealistic as far as, you know, how vampire turnings are supposed to happen, because the beautiful blonde girlfriend to the actor Robin Stewart's son to Peter Cushing, she's bit. And not but a few seconds after that, she's attacking her boyfriend and already evil. It does not work that way, babe. Doesn't work that way. So, yeah, it is. And you know, this might have worked if it, you know, the whole combination of the kung fu craze that movies like Enter the Dragon had made popular lately. Might have worked with combining Peter Cushing alongside, you know, some real top names coming up. Maybe somebody like Sammo Hung or Bolo Yeung or Jackie Chan, who had not become really big yet, but this could have helped him to. Instead, you got all these lesser known martial arts guys that have been playing in these really not, unless you're in Hong Kong and everything and you are a avid martial arts dude, you're not going to know who any of these people are. So yeah, even that fails in this film, unfortunately. Coming in at 7th place, we have The Satanic Rites of Dracula from 1973. This film is like supposedly a continuation of Dracula AD, except Jessica is now played by Joanna Lumley instead of Stephanie Beecham. And all of a sudden, Peter Cushing's Van Helsing is now almost a Bond secret agent, and Dracula is now sort of a Bond villain planning this bold bubonic plague, like poisoning of all of these important leaders so that he can spread this plague and rule the world. I'm sorry. I cannot take that seriously at all. And Christopher Lee knows exactly what the movie he's doing here. He hams it up so badly in this one that, you know, he knows this is a shit film, and he just is just going, yeah, here, you know, I'm just going to have fun, goof off with this, you know. He apparently, you could tell he didn't take this one as seriously as any of the others. This is so funny because, you know, now Peter Cushing, no matter what he gets stuck in, you know, like this film, he always takes it seriously. He always, you know, portrays it. But yeah, Christopher Lee was really chewing the scenery in this one. He was really playing it up big time in this. Like I said, he's more of a Bond villain, over the top, you know, and just, you know, ranting, raving, you know, coming up with these stupid plots and schemes and everything. And it's just so completely against what Dracula is supposed to be all about. And his ending is so underwhelming in this. He gets caught in vines, falls down, and Van Helsing just has a free rein to, yeah, stake you. Goodbye. That's why it is at my number 7 on this list. Coming in at number 6, we have Scars of Dracula from 1970. This one, whereas the last one had him as a Bond villain, this one just has him as being very sadistic and evil, with Christopher Lee playing the role, which in the previous films he's a bad guy, but he's not, sadistic and evil and torturing his servant, which they have the return of Clove, who was introduced in Dracula, Prince of Darkness, this time played by Patrick Troughton. And he is torturing him and, putting this poor guy through hell. This loyal servant to him, which, in Prince of Darkness, this guy was his loyal servant and was always there for him. And he treated him as such. He treated him with respect, and he wasn't, he didn't smack him around and torture him and whip him with a whip or burn him. I mean, it was just so deviant from what the character was in the previous films. So that's why I have an issue with this film. And although the ending to Dracula at the end of this, pole to try to kill, the sharp pole to try to kill Dracula, is that instance is pretty badass, because it sticks in his chest and he just yanks it out. But then they have him raise the damn thing in the air, and then it gets struck by lightning, and Dracula gets set on fire and burns and then falls off the edge of the castle wall. It is stupid. It would have really been cool. The whole idea of him being set on fire and falling off the roof would not be a bad ending for Dracula. That would work. Maybe have a priest in the story, or a great holy man, somebody like that, and he throws holy water on him, and that's what sets him on fire, and that's why he falls off the top of the castle. Do not make this stupid thing with him holding the pole. It gets struck by lightning, and it sets him on fire. Not the worst death, though, for Dracula in this series, though. Coming in at number 5, we have Taste the Blood of Dracula from 1970. This one has a lot less screen time by Christopher Lee as Dracula. But it's not hurt by that, because you have an awesome character played by Ralph Bates named Lord Courtly, who decides to help to try and revive Dracula. And he is the main character throughout the whole thing, and it's because of him that Dracula is resurrected, and Dracula ends up going after all of these guys that ended up killing Ralph Bates as Lord Courtly. And Ralph Bates is excellent in here in his portrayal, and all the dipshits that he brings in for this pleasure thing. It's almost like a early variation of a Hellraiser's kind of a thing. But it was cool, and then they end up killing him, and his blood was what helps bring Dracula back. And his character was so charismatic while he was in there. So you're not really missing Dracula so much, because you're getting a great performance by Ralph Bates in there. And when Dracula does come in, he's going after all these people that killed Ralph Bates' character for revenge, and it's cool how he does it. I just wish he had done it more like this. I mean, he goes after Linda Hayden's character of Alice, and he makes her totally subservient to him and ready to do anything for him, kill for him, do anything for him. And he does the same thing to the character of Lucy as well, but it's not done in as good a manner, and I think it could have been done with all these people of the characters that killed Lord Courtley. They have significant others, lovers, or something like that, and you could have had Dracula turn them against their own lovers and have them kill them. That would have been better than just two of the girls getting turned in this way. So, but it was a very unique and different Dracula movie, and that's why it makes my list at number 5. And coming in at number 4, we have Dracula AD 1972, from 1972. This one, if it wasn't for the weird 70s feel that this film has, being brought forward into, at the time, modern times, this is really good as far as the performances. You have Christopher Nemi, who basically takes most of the screen time up. He gets more screen time probably as a secondary villain as Johnny Alucard, as Christopher Lee's Dracula does. Christopher Nemi always gave really good performances in films, so this was no different, and this was one of his early films. And then, of course, you have Stephanie Beacham as Jessica Van Helsing, and she's really good here. I preferred her over Joanne Lumley, who replaced her in the Satanic Rites of Dracula. I thought she was more likable. She's sexy as hell. I mean, she was great in this role, especially in the scenes later when she's inadvertently going to try to help Dracula when he's been staked. Those moments were so good. He's summoning her, and she's just walking to help him, and at the spot where Peter Cushing's Van Helsing was, he can't just stop her right there, so he has to run down. By the time he gets there, she's already pulled the out, and it's just such a cool little moment in there. And then, of course, the other great performance in this, though limited as it is Caroline Monroe in here. She's really a standout in this as well. So, wasn't a bad translation to the 70s time period, but looking at it today, it's pretty dated now, and it kind of just makes it stand out as a film of its era, as opposed to remaining like the others do. They're a time period that they're set in, and it works perfectly like that. And this is set in the 70s, and it's set in the 70s in the movie. So, but it's just that time period just doesn't fit as well with Van Helsing and Dracula in there, I don't think. Coming in at number 3, we have Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, from 1968. This one has not only the return of Christopher Lee as Dracula, and he's just as badass as ever. But there's the beautiful Veronica Carlson as Maria Muir. And then we have our boyfriend, Barry Andrews, as Paul. And then we have her father, the clergyman, Ernest Mueller. And these three characters just make this thing so good. Barry Andrews' Paul is a atheist. So, trying to do things that you would normally be able to do easily against a vampire, like using a cross, because you have faith, trying to stake the vampire and then do the prayer afterwards. He can't do any of that stuff because he's an atheist. He doesn't believe. So it gives it a really interesting twist to where you know, for a while he can't get anything done in this thing because he doesn't believe. So that is a really good element of it. And then you have Rupert Davies playing the father of Maria. Veronica Carlson, gorgeous. And when she's being preyed upon finally by Dracula, I mean, those scenes are so erotic. That works just great. And then these two guys are trying to save her, you know, and it's a great film, and that's why it makes my number 3. And coming in at number 2, we have Horror of Dracula from 1958, also known as Dracula in England. Yes, this was simply Dracula in the UK, but here in the US, it was known as Horror of Dracula. This one has it has Christopher Lee as Dracula, of course. Then you have Peter Cushing as Dr. Van Helsing. And then you have Michael Gough as Arthur Holmwood. I mean, that was cool. But I think the weakest part of this is John Van Essen playing Jonathan Harker. And at the beginning of this film, whenever I saw this unknown, actor that I've never seen before trying to play Jonathan Harker, I was wondering, why in the hell did they not give that important role to someone really the great gravitas like Michael Gough? And the reason was Jonathan Harker was killed within the first 30, 40 minutes of this movie and turned into a frickin' vampire. That always brought this one down for me, and it angered me in the film, but we have a strong Arthur in this with Michael Gough. And of course, this is the best portrayal probably ever of Peter Cushing as Van Helsing. He's clicking on all cylinders in this thing. And Dracula, Christopher Lee, he's good in this, but the way they write him is not, they didn't write him as good sensuality-wise as they did in the later films, I don't think. Because a lot of the stuff, they don't show it. They kind of went off-camera kind of stuff with it. such as Mina and everything. And I think that you see him come in on her, ready to, go against her, and everything. And he doesn't use any hypnotic abilities on her. She just looks, shocked by him, and then he comes forward, and then the next time you see her, she's got this scarf around her neck to cover up that she's been bit, which I thought was an odd way to go about it. Now, he does have sort of a little seduction scene on Lucy, but it's very brief as well. So the sensuality of Dracula is not as good in this one as it is in any of the later films with Christopher Lee. And mostly this thing gets put in this ranking because of Michael Gough and Peter Cushing, and not so much because of Christopher Lee. However, this film does have the definitive best death for Dracula in there. I mean, the way that they have this fight happen between Dracula and Peter Cushing is one hell of a cool showdown between the rivals. And no other film in this series was ever able to rival that, unfortunately. And coming in at number 1, we have Dracula, Prince of Darkness from 1966. This one, it stars Francis Matthews, Andrew Keir, Suzan Farmer, and Barbara Shelley. What else can I say that I didn't say in my full-fledged review of this film that you can watch on here? This film is my number 1 for the reasons of Dracula's sensuality, and this one is the best it's ever been. He doesn't speak in this, and yet that just shows how great of an actor Christopher Lee is. He is able to put so much of that charisma that he has into his character that it just makes his, like the hypnotism scene of Suzan Farmer. That scene is just so beautifully shot and so erotic. The way he opens up his shirt and has her drink from him. That was perfect. This film does not have, like I said in my review, my full review of this film does not have a Van Helsing, but you do have a Van Helsing-like character with Andrew Keir. And Andrew Keir was so great in this role. I just wish he would have been featured in other films in the series. And, Barbara Shelley is great as usual. She's very sparsely used in this one. She's not as, she doesn't get as big a role as what Suzan Farmer gets, but when she's on screen, she is great as usual. She was such a great actress. And there's nothing more I can say about this one. It is the best Dracula movie from Hammer ever. And hell, I'd go so far as to say that it's probably the best Dracula movie, one of the best Dracula movies of all time. So what do you think? How would you rank them? Let me know how you would rank the 9 Hammer Dracula movies. And if you like this kind of a video, where it's a little different, where we're just ranking the whole films in the series and everything, let me know, and I will definitely keep doing this. But yeah, if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, because it really does help the channel out a lot. And hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time, because it's still the Halloween season, and we are still going to be doing many more videos. So I'll see you in the next one.